Morning.
Good morning.
All right, it's 11 o'clock. We'll get started here. Thanks for coming. And this will be recorded. I'll put it into a Zoom folder. So what we're going to do is, I'm not going to do a whole lot of theory today with Module 3. I'll just focus on some of the more difficult concepts of Module 3 and prepare you for what you're going to see for the homework and the assignments you'll need to do. So just a couple of things here. First of all, you got your Module 3 assignment. I'm going to show you what it looks like. And this is a matching type exercise that you'll have to do here. So just to give you an idea of what you'll need to do, we've got 100 centimeters, 1 meter down here. When we're doing the dimensional analysis, we're always trying to make it so that the units cancel. We're left with what we want at the end. So we know that down the bottom, number 2 will have the 1 meter, and we'll have the 100 centimeters on top, which will leave us with centimeters over here. So this is what this is kind of training you how to do. And for the more complicated ones that have more than one step, you can apply the same kinds of concepts. We've got centimeters on top, which means number 2 would be centimeters. 3, we want that to be kilometers at the end, so that'll be number 3. And then we just have to figure out what goes in 1 and 4, and those have to match whatever we've got here. So we know that 100 centimeters is number 1, that's equal to 1 meter, so that'll be number 1. And 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters, so that'll be number 4. And that's how you would fill in the numbers here for the units. Does anybody have any questions so far? Now, what are you expected to use as a resource while you're doing this? Well, all of these are supposed to be what I'd call open book, which means that you will be using the resources here and I just want to check on something here. I can't remember if I put this in the syllabus or not before I start sprouting on about it. Let's have a look. No, I didn't. Okay, good. All right. But looking at the Module 3 resources, we've got the Module 3 soft chalk. That's what I recommend you go through first in order to figure out what you need to do. And there are some exercises in here, interactive exercises that you can do as you go through this. So you can see here's an example of one. and then you could put the things in there and you match them up. So you can do that, and that will test your understanding of what you're doing. These are a little bit trickier because you have to look at the problem over here and then base your answers on the problem you see here. It's not actually written in there. I'm going to give you a bit of a blurb about significant figures, but we'll get through that in a minute. And we have resources here for significant figures. So there's a practice worksheet that has answers. So I'd recommend you do that as well. Then you've got the interactive exercises again through here that will help you understand the dimensional analysis. Now going back to number 2, page 2, this is where you'll find your conversion factors. So you either should have the soft chalk open here, or you can download the module 3 PDF file, which is here, or hopefully you might even have a copy of the survival guide, a hard copy, in which case again you'll be looking at page 2 here for the conversion factors. Now not only do you have the conversion factors here, you also have the temperature conversions on this page as well. So as long as you've got this page open while you're doing the stuff you're doing, then that's going to be really helpful to you. Does anybody have any questions so far? The other thing I want to point out is that for the assignment problems each have a link to them, so you can figure out how to do them in case you don't know how to do the assignment problems. So you can always go back and take a look at the videos for these. That will be very helpful to you. So that's for every single problem that's in the Module 3 assignment. Then we've got the Module 3 practice quiz as well. And remember, you'll need to get 80% on this in order to access the credit quiz. So once you get 80% on that, the credit quiz will open. And this is what the practice quiz will look like. And you'll be expected to write in the numbers directly into the slots here, including the answers, along with the units. If you're worried about the formatting and you don't know how it's going to be formatted, my recommendation would be to submit the quiz blank so you can see what the answers look like. And just to give you a tip here, the answers are what's in the parentheses. They don't include the parentheses themselves. When you've got more than 2 things in the parentheses, it means that either of those answers would be accepted for a grade. So you'll notice you can see what the formatting looks like. 0.904 LB would be how you would put that answer in, or 0.904 LBS. Either of those answers will be accepted for a grade. When you're doing the credit quiz, it may be that you will get a check mark here, and it will be that you will be wondering why you don't get the full points for something. That's because you've got the wrong significant figures as the answer. So the answer is acceptable except that the significant figures are wrong, which is why you're getting fewer points for it. I know I'll get emails from people about this as they do it, and that's what I'll be telling them. So that's the practice quiz. Again, you have to get 80% on that. The credit quiz opens, and then you get 2 attempts at the credit quiz. Does anybody have any questions so far about what they'll be doing? Okay. There will also be the significant figures quiz, and you need to get 100% on this in order to get access to the credit quiz. And then there's a significant figures help video that comes up once you've gotten 60% on the on the quiz, but since you're here, I'm going to actually show you the quiz. Show you what it looks like. I'm thinking we might even go through this together if you don't mind. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. How many people we got? Just 4 of you. All right. But for anybody who wants to bother watching this as well, this will be useful to you. All right, so this is a significant figures quiz. I think what I will also do, let's open up another My Courses instance here. I know I've got the thing here. All right. And in the significant figures question, we've got all the rules that are associated with significant figures. So we've got the significant figures here, and these are the rules. So as you can see, all non-zero digits are significant. Captive zeros are significant as well. Captive zeros are zeros between two non-zero digits. So 904, that zero is significant there. Trailing, leading zeros are never significant. Those are zeros out the front. And trailing zeros can be significant depending on if there's a decimal point in the number or not. So for something like this, 0.0009320, that zero is significant because of a decimal. And in the case of 34,500, these two are not significant. Now, the significance or the significant figures is going to be determined by the accuracy of the number, and this is a discussion that goes into that. The way we determine significant figures is, let's say you've got this case here where we've got a graduated cylinder, and it's not a very accurate graduated cylinder. It's got a graduation at 100 and a graduation at 200. We can be sure of the first digit. We know it's 100 and something, but we don't know the second digit. It could be a 5, it could be a 4, it could be a 6. So it could be 150, 140, 160. We don't know. So we know that the figures are going to be what we're sure of, then one more that we're not sure of. The zero at the end is called a placeholder, and that's necessary because we know the measurement can't be 15. So it's 150, but that zero is not significant. Does anybody have any questions so far? In the case B, you'll see that this is a whole lot more accurate because we've got 200 mil graduation, then a 201 mil graduation. We can be sure of the first 3 digits, the 200. We know it's 200 point something, but it could be 200.0 or 200.1. So we're not really sure of this last digit. So this has 4 significant figures. This would be much more accurate. Case A is less accurate than case B. Does anybody have any questions? So that's the basis of the significant figures there. Then we've got certain rules for rounding. And if we had this number here, 0.086215, we want to round it to 3 significant figures. You count out to 3, to the third significant figure, which is the 2. Remember, the leading zeros aren't significant. And then you would look at the next digit. If the next digit is 4 or less, then we leave it the way it is. If it's 5 or more, then we put it up by 1. So if that was a 5, then we'd go 0.0863 would be rounded. So it's just standard rounding rules that we're looking for here. What's going to really test you will be the calculations. And for calculations, addition and subtraction, it goes by least number of decimal places. So when we're doing calculations involving significant figures, the premise is as follows, and that is your answer cannot be any more accurate than the numbers you're using to get that answer. I'll say that again. Your answer can be no more accurate than the numbers leading to that answer. So if we know we've got 3 decimal places here, but 1 decimal place here, the answer can only be 1 decimal place, and then we round it to that. Does anybody have any questions so far? The rules for multiplication and division are completely different because they involve significant figures. So in the case of this multiplication, we've got 3 significant figures versus 5 significant figures. The answer comes out to 3 significant figures. So I've got 2 sets of rules here. one for addition subtraction that involves least number of decimal places, and multiplication and division, which involves full-on significant figures. So then you've got this worksheet here that allows you to go through. It's got all these different calculations, and I'd strongly recommend you do that. There's also, let's go back here. There's also these interactive exercises that I think are pretty cool, that are really helpful for making you understand what's going on with significant figures. All right, does anybody have any questions so far about this? I'm really just trying to give you a brief overview of what you're going to see when you go through it yourselves. All right, so let's look at this kind of problem here. What is the answer to the following equation with correct significant figures? So what you would do is you look at this and you see it's addition. So we look at the addition rules here, and it says it goes by number of places past the decimal point. So you can see here we've got 1 place past the decimal and then 2 places past the decimal. So the answer is going to have to be either the 0.4 or the 0.3, but it's going to depend on the rounding, but we know it's only going to be 1 place past the decimal. That's how we know that each of those are not going to work. Now each of these questions also has a hint as well. See, addition, subtraction. The result has the same number as decimal places, same number of decimal places as the number that has the fewest number of decimal places. So that's what I was saying, 1 decimal place, 2 decimal place. The answer comes out to 1 decimal place. Any questions so far? So don't forget about the hints. The hints are important here. Now, when you're doing conversions, I'm actually going to do this conversion here, or at least show you how it would work. So it's 5.0 pounds, and we're trying to convert it into grams. So we're trying to say, well, it'd be 1 pound. I think it's, I'm trying to remember take it back here a bit. Get the conversion here for grams. Here we go. 453.5924. So again, as you can see, the pounds will cancel here. We'll be left with grams as our answer. Now, the idea is that we look at this and we see that that has 2 significant figures. We look at this, we see it has 7 significant figures. And the 1 here, because it's a counting number, has infinite significant figures. So the answer is going to have the fewest number of significant figures, which in this case will be 2. So you'd plug this into your calculator, and then you want to come up with an answer that only has 2 significant figures at the end. So that's going to influence what you're going to see there. And again, look at the hint here. It pretty much just says what I just said. The conversion, multiplication, division problem, the result has the same number of significant figures as the number. It has the fewest number of significant figures, which in this case is the 5.0. Conversion factors have either infinite significant figures or many more significant figures than the number at the beginning of the problem. So again, you'll see that 2 significant figures versus 7 and infinite. Does anybody have any questions about number 2? So question 3, how many significant figures does this have? Well, we're just using the rules here, and you can go back to the rules for significant figures, which is on page 4 here, which will enable you to determine how to handle those trailing zeros. And again, trailing zeros are significant if there's a decimal point in a number, so that pretty much tells you what you need to do there. Same with this one, 2, 3, 4, 6. Non-zero digits are always significant. See, all the clues are already here. What is the answer to the following equation with the correct number of significant figures? Again, you would go take a look at the multiplication rules. And the multiplication rules go by significant figures. And again, I'm sure that's what the hint says here. A result has the same number of significant figures as a number that has the fewest number of significant figures. So again, we would look and see how many significant figures we have in both of these and choose the answer accordingly. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. This one here is again, you can see it as addition subtraction. The result has the same number of decimal places as a number that has the fewest decimal places. And again, you can find those rules at the top of page 6 here, addition subtraction. Same with the next one here. Again, figuring out number of significant figures. Make sure you look at the hints here to help you out. And I think that's pretty much all I wanted to show you here with this one. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Well, that's pretty much all I had wanted to show you today. So I hope you got something useful out of it. If you have any questions, you need any help with Module 3, let me know. And maybe we'll be in contact. So if you want to just call me or email me, let me know if you have any problems. And maybe I'll end up talking to you in the next few days. All right, well, thanks everybody. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No worries. Thank you.